Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar, a checklist to ensure your presentations are a success. So Peter Dew's my name, and I'm a public speaking trainer and coach. And one of my passions is helping people find their voice so they can share their messages, their lessons, and they can educate, persuade, change the world the way that they want to. What I don't want anyone to do is to hold back or be afraid of public speaking or afraid to do a presentation. So that's my passion. You've got my contact details there. So how to participate in webinars, as always, ask questions, put your hand up and I can open up your microphone, or feel free to type in the dialog box at any time. When you type in the dialog box with a question, I may hold that question till later on in the webinar, but rest assured when you type into that question box, and please put comments as well as questions, then I will get to it. Take notes. This is a fairly rushed webinar. I've condensed it to a half hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email each of you on the webinar a copy of these PowerPoint slides. So if I move too quickly, don't worry, I will provide you with the slides for your record. Also with questions, because I'm going to move quickly, feel free to ask me questions after the webinar. If there's something I've glossed over that is of particular interest to you, feel free to send me an email asking me to expand at a greater level. And most importantly, think about a past presentation or a presentation that you've got coming up. Is there anything that you could do in terms of your preparation that would have made that previous presentation more successful, or you can do to enhance this upcoming presentation? It's about the application. It's about applying the learning rather than just taking a series of notes. So I think the thinking and the applying of the knowledge is the key to getting something out of every webinar. Let me ask you a question. What could possibly go wrong with your next presentation? And do you have a backup plan or a contingency just in case? That's really about your preparation. That's really what it's about. It's about anticipating what could go wrong, how well you connect with the audience, is your message going to have impact, and being prepared. And as they say, Robert Schuller, spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. So this is a bit of a checklist. Now, in terms of this checklist is more around your content and your presentation and you as the deliverer. I have another checklist which is more of a logistics. Have you got a map? What time do you have to be there? How many people will be there? Is the catering organized? Can you get to the room early? Will there be an audio-visual guide? Do you need a microphone? That's logistics. This checklist is not about logistics. This checklist is about more around your presentation, your content, your confidence. So I have a 9-step checklist that I'm going to run through today. Have you got your nerves under control? So this is your own internal well-being before you go on stage. Have you done the right level of preparation? Is your speech set out in a simple structure? Have you got some backup notes? Have you crafted a memorable message? Will it stick? Will it be persuasive? Or will people walk out and just think, well, that was nice, and not remember? Are you aware of what your body language is doing, your eye contact, your gestures? Are they appropriate for what you're saying? Are they distracting? How are you using your voice? Are you using the platform effectively, or are you just standing behind the lectern? Your PowerPoint slides or other audiovisual aids, are they appropriate? Are they engaging? Or are you doing death by PowerPoint? And one of the keys that I teach every presentation, get feedback. How will you receive feedback? What preparation have you done to ensure there's a feedback loop? So let me go through these one by one. Once again, if I gloss over something, please put your hand up or type in a question, and you can email me after the webinar and I will get back to you. So step one, have you got your nerves under control? So how big is the audience? Do you have some quick relaxers ready? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? I'm a deep breather. I do slow diaphragmatic breathing like opera singers do. If you notice that your top of your chest is going in and out like a pant, that's nervous breathing. Are you prepared for anything? Difficult questions? A bigger crowd than you expected? Are you in a positive mindset? Have you already played your conclusion over in your mind? Are you confident? When you walk on that stage, are you going to look confident? Are you going to sound confident? Do you understand the role of your nerves? So when nerves do come up, you understand that it's a normal part of public speaking, or do your nerves then cascade into a loss of control? Or do they then override and overtake your whole presentation so you become nervous as opposed to a confident speaker who's speaking while the nerves are running continuously in the background? Your nerves will probably never go away. And it's about this accepting and understanding your nerves. So the first thing to do is, where are you on your anxiety scale? Where are you in terms of your nervousness? Have you got some quick relaxations ready to go? And have you got that positive mindset? Have you been able to silence your self-doubt, silence your concerns? And as you move forward the other 9 steps, this will help you get a positive mindset, because as you tick off the things I'm going to run through, you should enter that platform, that presentation, with a confident and positive mindset. Have you done the right level of preparation? By this I mean, do you know your audience? Who's in the room? How many people are there going to be there? Are there any cultural nuances you need to be aware of? Do you have to acknowledge the traditional landowners? What is the concern or the pain of the people in that room? How does your message address that pain? Know your venue. Don't arrive at the venue 10 minutes before your presentation. Make sure they're nice and early. What is the audio-visual equipment there? Will your voice carry to the back of the room, or do you need a microphone? I was at a keynote presentation 2 weeks ago, and the speaker after me just stood up the front and said, look, I'm not going to use a microphone. I don't like microphones. I've got a big, loud voice. Can you all hear me down the back? To which the people shouted, sorry, we cannot hear you. And he said, oh, okay, I'd better stand behind the lectern and get the microphone. He didn't know his venue. He just walked in and decided he was going to present. So know your venue. Know your content. This is about knowing your content so well that you can plug and play. Let's say you're speaking for 45 minutes. And then the convener, the coordinator says, can you speak for an hour? Someone hasn't turned up. So we'll get everyone to speak for an extra 15 minutes. Can you do that? Are you able to stretch? Do you know your content so well that you can stretch for 15 minutes? Let's say the speaker before you speaks 30 minutes into your time. And the organizer says, can you cut your 45 minutes to 30 minutes? Can you do that? Know your content inside out. If someone asks you a difficult question, do you have the answer? If you don't have the answer, do you know where to get the answer? When you know your content really well, once again, you can deal with those nerves. When you know your venue, that everything's going to be working fine, you've got a lapel microphone, you know how to use the equipment, you know how to get to the venue, you've got parking, you're not driving around. When you know your venue well, you can relax. When you know who's in the audience, what their audience expectations are, what their value is, what their cultural nuances are, you can relax. That's the right level of preparation. Can you plug and play? And plug and play means regardless of what happens, can you still deliver the content? So you've gone from 45 minutes to 30 minutes. Can you do it? The answer is yes. You've gone from 45 minutes to 1 hour. Can you do it? The answer is yes. I was asked to speak at a group of school kids down south of West Australia, down in Bunbury, and I was told there'd be about 15 people. So I turned up expecting a room with 15 people, and the organiser said, sorry, I had a stronger response. There was 80 people in the room. Can I still deliver my content to 80 people instead of 15? The answer is yes. So that first question I asked you, what could go wrong? What might happen? And do you have a contingency plan? What if your timing is changed? What if your audience size is changed? Can you still deliver? Can you plug and play? Let's say the power goes out and your PowerPoint slides can't be shown. Can you still deliver your content? That's plug and play. The answer is yes. Should be yes. I know my content so well, I would move to a whiteboard or to a flip chart. Is your speech set out in a simple structure? So start strong. It's called the rule of primacy. What's your opening 30 seconds that grabs my attention? End strong. The rule of recency. So 30 seconds before the end of this webinar, you're going to remember those last words I say. Have you got a strong closing, a call to action? Keep it simple. 3 points is plenty, or have you got 7 points? How can you condense those 7 points down to 3 points? Is your core message clear? Are you all going to walk out with that one big message? Is everyone going to get the same message, or are they going to get mixed messages? The core message from today's webinar, spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. The more preparation you do along these 9 areas, and there's further preparation beyond this webinar, the more preparation you do, the more effective, the more confident, the more successful you will be in your presentation. Why is your message relevant to the audience? And this is about understanding your audience. So going back to the previous step, know your audience. Why is it relevant? I like to tell people, what aspirin, what problem are you the aspirin for? What headache do you remove? Be clear on that and make sure your message is then relevant to that problem which is in the audience. And use your stories. Select the right business stories to support your data, support your case studies, to support your message. It's the stories that will move people. It's the stories that people will remember. If you have the wrong stories, then you won't have impact. I'll just pause for a moment, seeing if there are any questions. So I said, will everyone get your message? Are you clear on your message? But how do you make it memorable? And we call these hooks. Hooks that get into people's minds, hooks that make it memorable. What's in it for me? How are you solving my problem? How are you removing my pain? Or how are you helping me achieve my goals? What's in it for me is marketing 101. Rather than what's in it for you, the speaker, what's in it for your audience? And if you flip it, so rather than you trying to sell something, people then need what you're providing, they will buy it off you rather than you sell it to them. So rather than push marketing, it becomes pull marketing. What is the problem of the people in the room, and how does your message solve that problem? What's in it for me? What's your one big message? Nike shoes, Nike running shoes, just do it. What's your one big message that everybody can say after you've spoken? Spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. Use this checklist to do spectacular preparation. Barack Obama, 8 years ago on his first election night, yes, we can. He spoke for 45 minutes, yes, we can. What's your one big message? Have a call to action. What do you want the audience to do at the end of your presentation? Do you want them to lobby some politicians? Do you want them to find 30 minutes a day to get fit? Ask your audience to do something. They will remember that call to action. Give them a surprise. Shock them. Use some data that they were unaware of. When you do use data, make it concrete. So when you use big numbers, how can people remember those numbers? And I remember working in Bendigo, and there was a water saving device that saved something like 500,000 litres of water. And I can't remember the number, but I do remember clear as a bell was 16 Olympic swimming pools of water, of drinking water. 16 Olympic swimming pools of water per year were saved by this water saving device. Some amount of 100,000 litres, which I can't remember the number. Make your data concrete. The Heart Foundation talks about the skipping rope program. They hand out rope to high schools and primary schools to skip, and they've handed out some, 457,000 kilometres of rope, which I can never remember. What I do remember is it's enough rope to stretch from Sydney to Hawaii and back 3 times. Make your data concrete so that people can remember it. Where's your credibility come from? Establish your credibility. What data sources are you using? Australian Bureau of Statistics, World Health Organization, your 10 years experience. As I said, the story. What story are they going to remember? So have you crafted a memorable, and we also use the word sticky, a sticky message? Because when I walk out of the room after you've presented, you want me to remember what your core message is. With those hooks, what I'm suggesting is put one of those hooks in every presentation. Is it one big message? Just do it like Nike? Is it telling a story? Is it using some amazing statistics that people were unaware of? Step 5, what is your body language doing and your eye contacts? Your eye contact. Have you got bouncy hands? Are your gestures all over the place? I see our politicians, and I'm hoping you can visualize what I am doing. And as I speak, my hands are bouncing up and down in unison with the rhythm of my voice. This is not good non-verbal communication. What are you doing with your hands? Are you playing with your ring finger? Are you playing with your wedding ring? Are you clicking a pen? Are you massaging? Are you cracking your knuckles? Don't do gymnastics with your fingers. Non-verbal communication, by the way, is a workshop in its own right. Are your palms up or your palms down? So when you start your presentation, good morning everyone, I'm really pleased to be here. Good idea to start with your palms up. It's approachable. It's nice. However, when you get into the content, when you get into the messages, put your palms down. You're now sending information. This is seen as credible. Are your gestures in line with what you're saying? What do you do with your hands, your resting hands, when you're not gesturing? Don't do the fig leaf, which is folded over the crutch. It's very passive, very shy. Says, I don't want to be here. Don't put your hands on your hips. It's quite closed, quite aggressive. Your eye contact. Are you speaking to the roof, the floor? Are you actually engaging people one by one as you have a chat? A good way to check what your gestures and body language is doing is you can practice in the mirror. Watch your hands in the mirror. Do they bounce up and down? Have you got a rich vocabulary of gestures? You probably know that your body language and your non-verbal communication is over 50% of your message. So with our politicians, the words are coming out, but the hands are just not congruent with what they're saying. They're losing their impact. Just pause for a moment. We've covered about 20 minutes. Step 6, how are you using your voice? Voice is really important. Use pause. Use pause to eliminate filler words. Use pause to create suspense. Use pause to slow yourself down if you're speaking too fast. What pace do you speak at? Vary the pace. When you're excited, speak a little bit quicker. But perhaps when you get to those key messages, just slow down a little bit. The pitch. Do you have rise and fall? It's called intonation or music in your voice. The volume, softening your voice, increasing the volume of your voice. Do you need a microphone? Don't do what that keynote speaker did 2 weeks ago and said, I don't need a microphone, and he did need a microphone. Drink fluids. I'm going to have a sip of water. Drink apple juice, drink water, drink pineapple juice. Don't drink soy lattes. Don't drink skinny flat whites. Don't drink cappuccinos. The milk will coat your vocal apparatus and may exacerbate any quiver, any nervousness, any strain on your voice. The apple juice, the pineapple juice will lubricate. And the water, of course, keeps you hydrated. So if you're doing a longer presentation and anything over 10 minutes, even with 10 minutes, I would have a glass of water up the front with me, because if your voice just cuts out, you can have that quick sip of water. If you do all of these things, you then have a great quality voice. Are you using the platform effectively? So this is the space in front of your audience. Is there a lectern? If there is a lectern, don't stand behind the lectern for your entire presentation. So do use the platform. Come out from behind the lectern. The lectern is a barrier between you and the audience. And some people use it as a safety barrier. But when you come out in front and you claim your space, you're showing the audience that I'm here for you. I'm prepared to take the risk. I don't need to hide behind a table. I don't need to hide behind a lectern. So use the platform, the depth, forward, back, left, right. However, don't wander aimlessly left to right. You see those speakers that just go back and forth. It's called the cat on the hot tin roof. You know, pacing, can't stand still. You need to stand still. And if you are going to use the platform, you use it for purpose. So spatial anchoring, let's say you've got 2 or 3 points. Move to a different point in the platform each time you refer to point A is one spot, point B might be in the middle, and point C might be somewhere else on the platform on the other side. So have 3 points, have 3 positions on the platform for those 3 points, A, B, and C. This helps people remember, by the way, but it's also good use of the platform. Decontamination. When you take difficult stuff, move backwards away from the audience and deal with that stuff, and leave the front clean for your strong points, for your take-home message, for your summary, and move forward to make those strong points. So if you move forward and there's a difficult question, or you're talking about some bad news or some negative, you've now contaminated that part of the platform, and it's very hard to now do strong points and summation from a point where you've already dealt with difficult stuff. So use the platform with purpose. Take some practice, but once again, rather than just stand behind the lectern, what can you do in your checklist to make sure you're ready to use the platform? What are you doing with your PowerPoint slides? Are you doing death by PowerPoint? One of the mistakes are bullet points. You may notice even in my webinar, I have no other option but to do PowerPoint. I'm not doing bullet points. I'm doing little graphs, little charts, some pictures, some models. Eliminate noise. So the noise is those fancy transitions in your PowerPoint slides. Sometimes a point comes across, flies across, and it makes a noise. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Don't do that. Also you, you know, the reveals, so it goes around and around and then pop, the point stops. That is noisy to the audience. Make your slides pop so people can see what you're talking about. Use graphs or photos or models or cartoons. When you're talking to the audience, black the slide. Do you all know how to black a PowerPoint slide? Let me show you quickly. So I'm in the middle of a PowerPoint presentation to you guys in this webinar. The power's not going off, I must warn you. I'm going to hit the B button on my keyboard. B for black. That's all I'm going to do. You're now seeing black light. So now I can stand in front of the room and I can talk to you and your eyes will be 100% on me. Now I want my PowerPoint slide back. I just hit B for black again and it comes back. So even if you have a lectern and you're data projecting from the laptop, you can still black your slides in between and have a deeper discussion. And don't just use PowerPoint. Have a flip chart or a whiteboard off to the side, or maybe you need to bring some props. I often bring my favorite public speaking books and I hand them around at various points. When I talk about the rule of recency, the rule of primacy, the first 30 seconds, I hand out a book by Milo Frank called 30 Seconds to Get Your Point Across. And Milo Frank talks about the importance of the first 30 seconds. And I hand around his book. And that's a prop. But that also gives me credibility because here's an author that's written a whole book on the first 30 seconds. And I'm telling people to make that first 30 seconds important. And step 9, how are you going to get feedback? Feedback is the food of champions. I mentioned earlier on that every time you speak, ask for feedback. So how are you going to get feedback? I'm just going to pause for a moment, going back to PowerPoint. I've got a question about using bullet points so they know the order of your talk. One of the things with PowerPoint, and this question, Storm, one of the questions for PowerPoint, it's not for you, the speaker. If you're using PowerPoint to remind you where you're at in your talk, rather than an audio-visual aid to give a deeper learning experience to your audience, then that's not what PowerPoint's for. PowerPoint is not your teleprompter. If you're reading the news, yes, you would read off your PowerPoint slides or your teleprompter. But you're a presenter and you know your topic so well that you can plug and play. So Storm, as I said earlier on, the power goes off. Can you still present without your PowerPoint? You can convert your bullet points to a graph, to a model, and you may see the picture in front of you. Do you understand that is bullet points that I have converted to a model? So bullet points is shooting your audience to death one bullet at a time. PowerPoint's not for you. It's for the audience to add an audio visual to enhance their learning, to enhance their understanding. So back to the feedback. Get the feedback immediately, make it specific, your hand gestures, your ums and ahs, what pace you're speaking at. Use an audience member, someone who arrived early, someone who you connected with, ask them to give you feedback. I've already mentioned use the mirror, or you can video record yourself and play that video recording back and have a look. You can also email that video recording to a coach, to a mentor, to a colleague. Join a Toastmasters club or a Rostrum club. Every time you practice a presentation there, they will give you feedback. Feedback is the food of champions. My challenge to you, get feedback every time you speak. So as always, just a reminder, I've got workshops coming up in Bunbury and in Perth and we'll be setting some workshops in Melbourne in July or August. Just go to my website. If anyone feels their organisation would like an in-house workshop, let me know. I've got 2 webinars set for June that are on my website, and we're in my newsletter. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter as yet, then please go to my website. As I said, any questions after today, and I will move forward, any questions beyond that I've been able to cover, please email me and I will send you these slides, because I know that I've gone through very, very quickly. Any final questions? So thanks for the feedback, Linda. Glad you enjoyed it. And we've gone half past. Thanks for that feedback. No further questions. Enjoy your day, and remember, it's the preparation that's going to make your presentation a success. It's the preparation. Spectacular performance is always preceded by spectacular preparation. Bye for now.